think that there's something just needs to be done in our own country as to or regarding education. And also you said something about the tripod. I know you said the students, you said the parents, the government. I think I would want to switch it now to say the tripod regarding the next question. So I want to talk about the effect on these students, the effect of all of this on students, on the economy, on the country itself. What are the effects? Because I know that we have seen students after we graduated, we have seen students from Nigeria, students who maybe in our own school or just in universities, at least in Nigeria. And some of the things you would ask them or talk to them about, you'll be surprised as to the kind of responses you will get. You know, when someone who has gone through university would maybe not be able to write a statement of purpose, or you know, like there are just some things that's very, very worrisome. And also before I open up the floor, I am just a bit pained, because fine, I know that we all went to school in Nigeria. It wasn't like we were all the best, but at least we are trying to be better. I went on recently trying to research look, because anytime I do this podcast, it's a learning process for me. I do research, I get to learn, do ask questions and all of that. And I went online, I think I was speaking with Fisaya, and I went online and I was trying to read research in Nigeria. First, there is an issue of data. You barely see data in Nigeria. You want to do something, there's no data. Or even when you end up seeing data, it is maybe they will say UNESCO or UN, WHO, all those things. But here, we know how we do our research. I want to do a research, I'm going to the people. We are going through the stress of, if it's a qualitative research, coding, interviewing them, bringing them together. Then about just trying to get the statistics on it, there's an issue of lack of data. Then I go on to keep reading this research. I don't want to say I was pissed off, because I was like, no, is this research? This is research that people are doing. You move from your results, and the next thing I'm seeing is conclusion. And I'm like, really, are you trying to play with me? Because this is just a whole lot. So I'm trying to see, because I would agree that these are some of the effects all of this that we're talking about will have on students. But what are the other effects this have on students, on the country itself? Because you meet some students and you just feel bad that you expect that somebody who has gone through, at least you say you are a university graduate, should be able to, I'm not saying perfect, we're all learning. Yes. What exactly are these effects rather?
Okay. I want to go back to what Kola said, and that's very, very important and very vital for the kind of Nigeria we want to see at every facet, not even only in education. And it goes back to an interview I stumbled on YouTube from Fela. And Fela said something. Fela said, everything we want to do, we want to model after the Western world. But have we actually come to sit internally and say that what is our own? That then from there, we are building up. So first of all is, like my father always says something when I was young. My father would say, you don't know how to speak Yoruba. You don't know how to speak Yoruba, and you think you want to understand English well. So, and the truth is, I can speak Yoruba, but I can't write Yoruba. And as simple as Yoruba, not even Yoruba now, as simple as our local dialects are in Nigeria, we have not learned to appreciate and encourage our children, everyone, to learn it. Even in the north, that Hausa is a thing, it's only used as a tool for oppressing their own people. it's a capitalist tool to make sure that the hierarchy is being promoted in the North. So we have not really seen our own thing as something that is ingenious, because whether we like it or not, all what English is saying in physics, in engineering, or you can see there's this Yoruba lady now that is trying to convert Yoruba in terms of A high and ho.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you see that there's much value in what we have. So we first is that I can only hope that we have government that want to think internally, homegrown wise. What are the ideas? My father was telling me yesterday that, he met some people and they said one young boy just designed a tractor. And these are people that you would say they are not educated. They didn't go to school. So what exactly, how are we looking internally, looking inward in terms of education to first develop, to first encourage? And that starts from even our own sociocultural growing. When you look at Yoruba folklore, alo, there's a learning there. There's a conversation going there. So we really need to, first of all, look at what is ours internally, because then everything then spirals up to something bigger. And when you now look at the effects in terms of education, Western education, curriculum wise, there's another thing that is called mediocrity. If there is anything that is destroying Nigeria more than any other thing, is mediocrity. Everyone wants to undo things just like that. No effort, no intentionality, no critical analysis, no deep understanding of things. So when it comes to, for instance, education in Nigeria, for instance, now, a teacher is not at times ready to systematically break things down. For instance, when I studied French.
Okay.
When I look at the way I was taught French at the university level, I would say that I always say that my teachers did not do the best. And why do I say so? Is that things that are simple, that can be broken down into basic knowledge, are not taught to us. And when we now go to primary school, one thing is that when you don't understand basics, you might not be able to advance a lot of things. You were talking about people not being even able to write their personal statement. Do you and I know, we've had this conversation, that we are not being taught writing well.
Yes, that's I think that's one of the effects that I would like us to touch on. One of the effects is not writing well, because we would think that we write, but we do not write well. Writing is a whole lot of process.
And really is, when I started learning French, there's this, my friend will say he grew up to an extent in Côte d'Ivoire, and he told me, he said, do you know that Yoruba and French, they are the same thing? The way the sentences are structured, the way
that is true now. The case.
Yeah.
And the case, the subjective case, objective case, gender case, and all those.
So just imagine I was well encouraged, or we did not see Yoruba as a primary school student as something we needed to learn.
In fact, I didn't want to do Yoruba in school. I think I went on to do Igbo. I just something or French.
So imagine we understand the basis of Yoruba speaking, Yoruba writing, and writing in terms of even full essay. We are intentional about them. We pass it on to even the so-called Western education we are now acquiring now. So we have people at the school system, at administration, that are not investing in the basics. Because when you are very good with the basics, there is nothing you can't go on to do. So we don't have teachers that are interested and investing in the basics. And now is when we now bring out the government. Even many people at the level of even Ministry of Education, they don't understand all these things. Everybody just wants to go there and sit down and make
government
money.
job.
Government job. an opportunity for mediocrity. So if we can cut off, like not being intentional about what is ours and not cut off mediocrity, I feel like we can do better. We can begin to systematically think about in education and look at its effects, and even the effect of education today. And also there's another thing Kola said that I also want to pick on is we should stop thinking that it's only Nigeria that has this issue. I think it helps us to have an holistic approach to addressing our problem. Not because everybody wants to say these things as being unique to Nigeria. Even an average Nigerian professor, that is a teacher, that is not a lecturer, that is not outstanding in class, want to tell you it's a Nigerian problem.
Yeah, in the senior climes, they pay them better. In the senior climes, the education is, you know.
You don't even want to know what goes on in the senior climes, what professors, the tears and blood professors put into this work to actually
still get paid less.
I still get paid. They are so underpaid. So I don't want us to always see it as maybe a Nigerian thing, but when we look, like, we should detract ourselves from that, because I feel like when we limit conversation to a Nigerian thing, we are not intentional about the contribution, the advancement that we want to put into it. And this thing also pass on to the younger generation. And also a current trend is now that there's no education, you can't have money with education. No. And there's one thing my father says, and many people don't know it, is the fact that a first degree should not give you money. Should not be the major thing that will give you money. A first degree should set you up, should get you thinking, should get you sit down to think more about, okay, where am I going from here? Yeah, if you have a first degree, maybe in law, in medicine, you can be looking to, okay, practicing and all. Let's assume somebody like us that have a first degree in French language. Does it end there? No. Even for a medical student, the learning still continues. You still have to do asthmanship. You still have to do your primaries or so. I've forgotten the name. After the asthmanship, you do the primary, you do 1 and 2.
Or
that you do all, even after residency, there is the primary exam that they pay almost ₦1 million to do in Nigeria to actually specialize. So we always have to see a first degree not just as the meal ticket, but as a place for you to start critically and objectively analyze yourself, your society, your environment. Because until then, we won't grow. We won't even, and then we should encourage learning. We should, currently there is a trend, even not only in Nigeria, even in America, there is a trend of people demonizing education because of tech, education is to actually grind you, make you know what is happening. And then also is the greatest and other upper aspect of education, and even like not allowing the effect to affect, and a person is also like reading wide, engage in broader conversation, know about your own culture, know about Igbo, know about Yoruba, know about Hausa, try as much as possible to like tap knowledge like around you. That's the only way. And then the government, they are so much of a big bone that can stuck my throat that there's no way to bring them.
All right. Thank you so much, Fisayo. So before, I would like to go on to Baby Lawyer to hear your view on the effect of all of this on students, the country, the economy, and all of that. But Fisayo said something about did you say demonizing or relinquishing the effects or strengths of education as a whole? Basically, I think it is really a trend now because of tech. I'm sure you would have heard people say that you go to school to waste your time, especially for some of us that are still in school. You are going to school to waste your time. You can just do a certification and you are making money. Education is not the way again now. just do one certification, 2 weeks, 1 month, 3 months in tech, and boom, you are made for life. I don't know if that sounds, yeah, it might be a good thing. It might be the way, but I don't think that it should lessen education, because even at that, I've seen people who still go to school for some of these things that these people just do certifications on. I don't know if anyone wants to jump on it, on how just people just diminish the quality. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. We have people even going as far as saying school na scam. Yes, I teach in a very good secondary school. I teach in an international school here in Akwa Ibom, and Top Fit International School. It's a school for the bourgeoisies. I've got senators' children who are here, governors' children who are here, but yet you still find them saying school na scam. School na scam, school na scam, because they also don't believe in the system. Now, the effect of this is that the idea about making money too is a factor. Like I said, the whole thing is not realistic. The average parent believes, or most parents believe, that going to school is a way it's a way that puts you on a path to financial freedom. You get, and if it is not anything financially involved, then you are just wasting your time. And now we look at it from the perspective where like Kola said, education. What's the certificate of the president leading us? So many governors don't have good certification degree or thereabout. Now, we also know about a particular person who is interested in leading Nigeria, but he still has one or two issues with his certificate, whether he has been there in Chicago or not. So the whole thing shows that, okay, the whole education we are really, really talking about, what's the essence? What's the real essence? Come down to homes. Children too could ask themselves questions like, my father went to school, but what's the effect in the house? What's the benefit? Then the entertainment too is one thing that is whisking children away from education. The entertainment industry. You see young guys who do not necessarily have to spend time in school, but yeah, they are doing fine and making good money. You see footballers who do not go to school, but yeah, they are doing fine. So all these things are reasonable enough to make some children think education is not necessary. And that's because they think that everything about life has to do with making money. Whatever the case looks like, to remedy ourselves from this menace, it boils down to investing so much in our nursery and primary education.
All right. So I know you're about to touch on way forward, but I think I would like to hear Kola's view on the effect of all of this on the students, how it just shows on the students, on the effect on the country itself.
Oh, okay.
A lot has been said. Miles Monroe, flamboyant American televangelist, is dead now, of blessed memory. In his book, Understanding Purpose, I can't remember, published in 2001, he says something. He said, when purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. And I think in every sphere of our national existence as a country, we don't really know the purpose of what we are doing. So it's easier for us to abuse it. It's easier for mediocrity to creeps in, like Fisayo highlighted earlier. And that's obvious in every part of the society. I mean, let me cite an example for you. I was watching the Queen of England's funeral procession some weeks ago, and you can look at the church service, you can see how organized everything is or was. You can see that there was nobody moving around, nobody trying to say, oh, this is my seat. But bring that to Nigeria. Look at typical church service. You see people walking up and down, people coming late, trying to get to the front to still sit because there's a reserved we still don't really know how to organize ourselves. And that's sad because I'm still going back to the question because when you look at things that have been written and said of Africans, sometimes one of my friends will be like, I'm always in a perpetual state of anger towards Nigeria and Africa. I mean, it's not like I'm angry about the country. I love the country. I love my country. But I'm angry at the way we have been doing our things. We really need to like, everything is to like, there's a need for structural change. And that's why I'm not too ecstatic. I'm not too excited about this whole political change of power that is coming. I mean, it could signify something, but I don't think it's going to be something very meaningful. So on the students' issues, education being a scam, it still boils down to the purpose of that education. And let's not forget that in society, there will always be voices. What dictates the direction where the society will be headed is kind of the voice that we are amplifying. There will always be cynics about, oh, education is a scam. I mean, everything has shown that the idea that education is a scam is not true. Everything has shown that not even this huge technological revolution would displace or supplant, even with the technological revolution, with COVID, everything. Many people wrote all sorts of articles during the COVID. Oh, this is the era of in-person schooling. This is the era of the university education. I mean, it's still here. It's still going to be here in the next 1 million years. Because that was the same thing we said during when ebooks came out. A lot of people say, oh, people are going to be out of jobs. There will be no need for library again. There will be no need for hard copy. Ebooks will take over. But till date, I have ebooks. I will still print it out to read. That's to tell you that there's going to be a part of our life that can never be automated. There's going to be a part that can never be fully outsourced to technology. I mean, no matter how we want it to be, like the technology thing, the certification thing, I don't think I will allow a doctor who has undergone 6 months of certification to operate on me. I mean, that would be catastrophic. So the entire system, I understand that new ideas, imagine ideas, people want us to like supplant or replace the existing ones, but sometimes it doesn't work that way. And that is why there's still going to be a whole new world of science, technology, education, mathematics, and Nigeria should only endeavor to like improve our education system to be part of this modern wave. Even other countries that are having issues with less people are not incentivized to go to school, they are looking for ways to encourage the young ones. That's why I'm saying, like, it's about the voices we are amplifying. If the voices we are amplifying are those of the people who believe it's a scam, young people will feel like it's a scam. But if what we are amplifying are the voices of people who are a product of this education, who have used this education as a means to climb social ladders and who have used it as a means to achieve social mobility, I think it will do a lot to improve the mindset of the younger ones that are coming. Because I mean, with this whole education, we might not have rich people. Education might not provide a path to wealth or riches. I mean, you might not make Forbes list, but I don't think good education should be a path to penury either. I don't think I want to either get a master's, a PhD, or a bachelor's and want to be poor. I want to like beg for things. I don't think there's anything honorable about poverty. So I don't think it should be glorified. And I don't think any education that leads you down to the primary path or through the path of education, for me, it's not totally education. Because if you have trained your mind to think, you should be able to think about how you're going to survive. At least if you don't become a billionaire, you should be able to like afford basic things, not like beg for food or become those teachers that we have back then, wear their shoes up. I mean, it's a mess when you see the state that people live in. So what I'm saying in essence is that we need to amplify the right voices. Young people or younger people, generations, they need mentors and people who can educate them, not this half-baked, overnight brick brother Nigeria's housemates who becomes motivational speakers and brand ambassadors of all these I mean, it's distressing. It's highly it's embarrassing to the nation. We have a country where you have past Nobel laureates, where you have seasoned writers, professors of repute, top world-class professionals, and you find out it is all this unsurpassed, this frauds in the name of social media celebrities that have been elevated to the point that they are the one motivating the younger ones. It's really, really, really annoying, and that's why I'm excited when I heard that this Nigerian, the world record holder for I think 100 meter, this lady, I can't remember her name. Toby went back to Nigeria and she got some ambassadorship, some deals. Like I think we should amplify faces like that. Toby is breaking world record. I think while she's still a student at university in Texas.
Yeah,
those are the right voices. We should give a chance to like motivate people, not all these overnight celebrities, product of the people whose product of their past. Exactly, who are product of that same poor educational system. The people who are role models, the people you give voice to in the society, plays a huge role in the society, and that's why we need to like not give platform to people like that. Even look at our body of politics. The people that are really making the right voice, they are making the right noises, and that are being heard are not the ones that have the same voices. They're not the ones that should be there. So the whole societal thing is just, it's the other way around. I mean, there are celebrities here in Americas, there are sports stars, but you don't see many of them coming out to denigrate education. We've seen what Kim Kardashian has been doing, pushing for. We've seen what Oprah Winfrey have been doing to the Black population. Same thing, Dolly Parton in Tennessee, what she has been doing. I mean, a whole lot of people are, and I think this is the thing. Society needs to that, because no matter how much you have tech, you still need doctors in your hospitals. You still need lawyers to defend you in the courts. You still need engineers to build those superstructures. I don't think there's a 6-month certifications that will help you build the Burj Khalifa or Burj Arab or whatever it is. So we need to amplify the right voices. So
Thank you. All right, baby lawyer. So I would like to come back to you on the way forward for education.
I was going to talk about, I was going to talk a little more on the effects that I don't know if I can still say one or two.
Yes, please.
Good. I was going to say also, add to that the effect of this educational system is poverty. Yes, it's poverty. And we are really poor in Nigeria. So whether or not somebody says school na scam, and he cuts the corner and he makes the money and he has the money, it doesn't mean the person has escaped from the level of poverty. We may make money in Nigeria. Yes, we are making good money here in Nigeria, but the level of poverty still is prevalent. And when the situation of poverty is prevalent, what happens is a dwindling reasoning rate. And that's why you have what's happening in Nigeria. Nigeria is rich, but we are mentally poor. And that's because of the effect of the poor education we have. We don't reason. The policies we make, that's why they are not thorough. They don't capture so many realities. So it's not about making the money or running a certificate that's going to get you the quick bar. Fine, you can always do that. But then the vacuum, the presence of that absence of the essence of education would always linger. And you begin to see it when you realize that how people perceive humanity is so minute. So that's that.
All right, thank you. So we would like to have you on the way forward, so we round this up.
Yes, the way forward. We have to look into the nursery and primary educational system in Nigeria, because we need to invest more in that aspect. We need to see, because that's the aspect where children learn to grow that sense of humanity. And how do we invest in that sector? We need to invest more in training the teachers, having occasional seminars for teachers at that level, sensitizing them not just to know the content of what they are teaching, but how to capture the realities children face, children from different backgrounds. Now, the quest for survival is what has driven so many teachers into going to teach. So what they go to do is to teach for the money, teach and expect 30 days to count, and then they get the money. But the concept of connecting with the mind of your children to plant a sense of humanity is not there. So these children just grow bland. They grow up like that without having sense of humanity, without having any ideology guiding them. So if they can train, if they can invest so much in teaching personnel, it's going to go a long way. Apart from the fact that infrastructure still needs to be erected, and children should have basic educational amenities. Those are things to do. We know that that's in the hand of the government. And another thing we could look into is what Kola said, language. You know, we talked about the out of school rate of children in Nigeria. Now, language is a method we can use to bring them together. Just imagine the Hausas going to school to learn English, learn biology in English language. They are not interested because they don't even understand the language in the first place. But teach civic education in Hausa, teach history in Hausa, they will come around. Why am I saying this? I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And Jehovah's Witnesses, in one way or another, invest in languages, learning language, trying to ensure that they reach people. I tried talking to somebody with English, but it doesn't make sense. But I talked to the person in Pidgin, and the person's interest was captured. Sometimes I go as far as reading Hausa, Igbo, and the fact that they hear their language goes a long way. Now, to actually cut down on this annoying out of school children, if we really look into bringing up academic resources, textbooks in languages of the learners, you realize that you call them together. You give them a sense of belonging. And they will know, okay, this is realistic. This is our own. They get me for mine before they say make I come school. They are ready for us. You know, that's that about that. So if we can look at these two areas, one, investing more in the nursery and primary sector. Two, trying to ensure that learning resources captures the reality. And that is having it being delivered in the language of
the language. All right. Thank you so much, Timileyin. Also, I know you did say that you did touch on primary and secondary learning. But then that reminded me of something I think happened in Nigeria recently about, I think it was airport workers. I think they maybe went on strike or were going to go on strike. And I think the government listened to them very quickly. But then we have the same government and another sector, which is the ASU, that have been on strike. And it's like, so I think sometimes it's just the misplaced priority for our leaders. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have listened to those people, but they did listen to them. But then this other sector, the educational region or the educational sector, it's just something they don't care about.
Yes, they won't care about the educational sector in Nigeria because education in Nigeria is a liability.
But the airports I know it really affects them.
Yeah, it's really affected. Now let's look at it from this level. I don't know how it is over there in the US, but I'm very, very sure. I'm sure that the educational system gives more to the society. But in Nigeria, the government gives to the education. The education does not give to the society as it is. Now imagine a university in Nigeria. It's of no benefit to the government. It's of no benefit to the government. They don't make any money. In short, government pump money to the university. And now, as long as that situation is like that, it makes the university subject to the government. Government will dictate. So now, to cut out of this rubbish, institutions in Nigeria must be financially independent. If institutions in Nigeria are financially independent,
God bless you, sir. They will not want to hear.
They will not expect anything. Nigeria run the cheapest education. I don't expect you to get value from something that is cheap. You can't.
Okay, let me allow baby lawyers. Because I wanted to tackle you there about the cost of education.
It's too cheap. It's too cheap. And what quality do you want to get from that kind of cheap service? Now, institutions in Nigeria must learn to be independent. I don't know how they want to go about this, but they should be able to be independent, do things themselves, and not rely so much on the government.
All right. So Fisayo was going to say something.
Yes.
So I accept. I really fully support your point of education being independent, but I don't support the angle of it being expensive in that angle, because I don't. But in terms of education being like schools actually getting their money by themselves, for instance, and why is that important is the fact that currently we have to also be aware of what's it called, the dispensation we are in now, because it's a neoliberal system where nothing is trickling down as a result of you just being there. There's that competition for it. There's that profit margin that has to be generated. So for instance, in the US now, an average professor actually writes research, writes a proposal, get a grant, millions of dollars that comes back to the university. Then also the government also will have their own cut out of it. So the teachers, the professors actually work now for the money they earn. So that's why in America they have teaching universities, they have research universities. So in research universities, you really, really, really need to have a grant to actually like make sure that what's it called, the school education is well catered to. So for instance, in Nigeria case, an average university professor does nothing, has research papers that are on the shelf wasting away, and only using that to accumulate promotion
and keeps getting promotion. And we know that at least what we have seen here is, if you say you want to be in academia, it's real work. You might not get the equal money for it, but you are constantly doing research. You are constantly doing stuff to be tenured, unlike what we have in Nigeria. Once you finish your PhD, you use that dissertation, you become a doctor. Not so long, you say you're a professor after so many years, maybe 1 or 2 papers, and that's all. But like what Fisayo is saying, these people get to work, you get to write grants. You see here and there, they have teaching assistants or research assistants always going up and down looking for funding opportunities, unlike what we have in Nigeria. I don't want to generalize, but at least to an extent, most times we have seen that when money comes to the school, what do we have? Third form building, ETL building. It's one building upon building. Every year is building.
And we can see the effects in the kind of data we have. And like you said, like baby lawyer said, you said something about is that your caller that said something about if people are educated, the effect is poverty. So for instance, now in the area of if the research are really having impact, for instance, data mining, there is increased data, there is more job for some people because some people are doing that analysis.
That's true.
Then we are talking about also for instance, macrobiologists in Nigeria don't even know the benefits of their work. And like I was saying, in an era of COVID, who is genuinely studying the real reason why COVID didn't affect African nations? What are the data? What are the reasons? What is the climate? Like, these are research papers.
How sure are we that it's not really affecting Africans? Or is it that because we just don't have people reporting, or the data is just not saying the right thing?
Are you getting? So there are,
Just this
and
school
the,
data.
the likes of Bill Gates
God.
Foundation, for instance, they would want to
He's
fund
God.
such kind of research. Don't shade me, man. I believe in God, please.
All right. So I think Kola has
How
like
did
a
we
whole
get
lot
here?
to say. So I think we should
How
have
did
Kola
we
on.
get here?
We should have Kola now.
I mean, I could talk about this
How
from
did we get here?
to the end of the year. I consider myself a very virulent critic of ASU and university systems in Nigeria. I mean, and this has caused a whole lot of my friends who teach, who are professors or teachers in those universities, to like, some of us are not really on good terms again, and so it's a familiar thought for me. Like you said, education in Nigeria is, especially university education, I thought we would not talk about this, but now that we have touched it, I think it's university education in Nigeria is at best a joke and at worst a disaster. But we keep on saying things to ourselves like, oh, there are people who finish from those schools who have gone to the abroad who are doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Exceptions don't invalidate rules, rather they strengthen them. And that's why whether you look at Boy's law, Charles law, or any laws in economics, in sciences, there are always exceptions. And those exceptions are not to say, oh, this law does not exist or this theory does not hold true.
Mm.
Nigeria University is unproductive, and the demand of ASU is bogus, is unrealistic, and it will never be met. If they like, Obama should be the president of Nigeria. Because it doesn't make sense for you to demand so much from the federal government while you give almost nothing.
You give nothing. You give nothing.
Apart from the fact that the education is, I mean, they have a lot of excuses. I don't want to be unfair to them, because if I was in the United States, most likely I'm going to be part of them. I have most of my friends there, and I was as close as possible to getting a job in one of Nigeria universities. But the truth should not be something we shy away from. The truth is, the university system is not productive. They are not really doing so much. Don't let me say anything. That would be, if I say they are not doing anything, that would not be unfair to few people who are doing so much with the very little resources that they have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the truth is, if you start from the recruitment process, you know that the Nigerian university system is a mess. The way they recruit here, you see people from, I'm familiar with the system. You will see somebody go to probably like NUC, you have someone in NUC, before you know it, they will fix you up. They will give you a letter, go and resume at this federal university somewhere.
Yeah.
Unlike here, if you want to be a professor here, you're not gonna get here by accident. And that's why
portfolio.
You are going to do the work. Like, it's a whole lot of work. After your PhD, some of them will even demand that you have like 1-2 years of postdoc. Yes. Show us evidence that you have won grants, fellowships in the past. But there are professors in Nigeria today who have not written a piece of research grant. Some of them cannot even write a grant proposal.
They don't even know how to go about grant writing. Mm-hmm.
So you are not bringing anything, and you want the government to do everything. And then when the government says, oh, we want to increase the tuition and so that you guys could make money, ASU will kick again, saying, oh, they are fighting for. And that's why I agree with you, Timileyin. And it's an argument, conversation that Fisayo and I have had, and we never get to finish. She's always on the path that education should be free. Education should be this, should be that.
I mean, free.
I wish it was, or I wish it can be. But the best I think Nigeria should do is that basic education should be free. Primary school, secondary school
should be free.
Perhaps colleges of education.
University, no.
Bachelor's, masters should not be free. Maybe PhD may be free indirectly because of the research output they come out with.
Research output that come
out. That is if they will come out with research output. If PhD students in Nigeria, the only thing they have is their dissertation.
Exactly. So bachelor's and masters should be, university education should not be like, oh, it is free. Because if it is free, the quality, okay, like I used to tell some of my friends that I'm grateful to Nigeria for the education I received there. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's something that I can build my life upon. And I
Yeah,
used to tell them that.
I think that reminds me of about what Fisayo said. I think her dad told her that your first degree shouldn't be, but it should be like a stepping stone for you to
foundation. Yeah. So like I was saying, I'm grateful, but the education was heavily subsidized. But we should not forget that the quality too was subsidized. It was free of, I didn't pay so much, and it was also free of quality too. No disrespect to professors of Nigeria. It's not to like shade Nigeria. I'm still grateful for it. I mean, I don't have thousands of dollars to pay in debt. But moving forward, there is so much to having a university education. There is a whole lot of things that it needs. You need work. If you're in the sciences and engineering, you need world-class laboratories. You need tools, equipment, proprietary softwares from many of these companies abroad. Mm-hmm. Those things are cost intensive, and it requires a whole lot of money to finance. So the stance of saying, oh, education has to be free, for me, it doesn't feel like it's sincere, because we always think that we are from a very rich country. I mean, I don't know how we have been brainwashed to think that Nigeria is a very rich country. But I think with what we have, with 180 million people, I don't think we're a very rich country. I mean, we can be rich if we can look inward and harness the natural and human resources that we have.
Yeah,
but I don't think as of now we are very rich, and I don't think as of now we can afford the whole free university, free education, but we can as well make the basics acceptable, make it more qualitative, like the quality should be very high, such that with a basic education, it could set me up for like a whole lot of things. If I decide not to go further, I think that should be the emphasis, not on saying education should be free. I mean,
all right, thank you so much, guys. I know we have really touched on this, and if we could go on and on and on and on and keep saying, but so just to round this off, I would quickly say that I think one of us said something about that education might not get you, like say education or education in Nigeria might not get you to be on the Forbes list, but it should not be a route to penury. But then again, just as we always do, I would leave us with this quote from a French, a French or a Chinese. I think it is a Chinese philosopher, Confucius. If I'm not mistaken, I think he is French.
No, Confucius is Chinese.
Chinese, sorry. Yes, I just said Chinese. Now I'm saying French again. Okay, so and it's that education breeds confidence. Confidence breeds hope, and hope is what brings peace. Again, from Confucius, education breeds confidence. Confidence breeds hope, and hope breeds peace. I hope you have learned one or two things from today's episode. We have touched a whole lot of things. I know so many this is really targeted at not just our teachers, our leaders, but also on youth like us, to know that whatever it is you get from the Nigerian education right now, we need to keep build up yourself to be better, build up yourself, and not just rely on your first degree. Let it be a path to greater and many more things. And thank you so much for listening and watching today's episode, depending on what platform you're watching or listening from. Thank you so much. If you have questions, please drop your questions. If you're watching on YouTube, drop your questions in the comments section, your questions, your comments. Share with your friends. Kindly do not forget to like this video when you watch. Like, if you do, I'm sure you would like subscribe to this channel, Metamorphosis with Toby. If you do not want to watch on YouTube, you can watch on Spotify. You can listen on Anchor. You can listen on Google Podcasts. You can listen on Apple Podcasts. You can listen from various platforms. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you again, or bring more episodes here on Metamorphosis with Toby. Enjoy. And guys, thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Welcome.